What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, back again. Got a lot of exclusives for you thanks to Max Weinbach on the iPhone 13 Pro. A lot of new features, technologies, and design coming to Apple's iPhone this year. So new colors, potential matte black potential bronze color, and a bunch in between. And of course, all the news that's happened since the month I've been gone. How do you guys like the new studio look? I've been working on this for a while. So between this and a new render farm, new camera overhaul, and of course working on our case company, it's been busy, but hopefully regular videos from here on out. Now as for Phone Rebel, Gen 2 Rebel is now sold out. We hope to restock in mid-April. We had to retool all of our molds. Want to make sure that you guys get the best quality, which people have been raving about. MagSafe, super strong, and our clear case is still available. About to sell out of the 12 Pro Max. Got about 250 left. PhoneRebel.com. Thank you for supporting, helping us build the vision. As for the open case, a lot of people asking about that. Yes, I am determined to make the open case happen, and I'll have more news on that as we develop it throughout the videos. But it's hard. This stuff is expensive. You guys would not believe it. Thank you for supporting. Let's get into the video. So I'd like to set the tone for this video by mentioning the Information's article on Apple's new stricter guidelines for their in-company, in-manufacturing processes to prevent future leaks. And this includes location beaconing, more cameras, just more surveillance all around. Yeah, Apple's going ham on trying to stop the leaks. They've tried it before, let's see if it works this time. But with that being said, let's get into the leaks. So the iPhone 13 notch has leaked in its entirety on the iPhone 13 lineup. It's the same on every single device, which I'm very happy to see, that consistency there. And I don't know any other word what to call it other than cute. It's smaller than the existing notch, so not shorter like John Prosser predicted, but less wide. And I think it looks really good, better than a shorter notch would look. Apple crammed more components into a smaller space. In a separate report, Ming-Chi Kuo mentioned that Apple is now using plastic in the Face ID components. Not sure if that helped with miniaturization or production. The earpiece is now sitting all the way up at the top. Looks really good. The camera has swapped to the opposite end of the notch. But overall, a very, very cute package. Definitely looks like an evolution. So the first exclusive with Max Weinbach, alongside that tiny notch, Apple is also improving the audio experience. So Apple is improving the microphone, noise cancellation, as well as clearer audio by using beamforming on the earpiece in the notch. So here's a really juicy one. Max Weinbach's source confirms that the camera will be getting a new look on the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max, and we've got a lot of details. So for one, likely not going to be that design we've been seeing, one that we pretty much based on Makatakar's report, that flat glass. It will still have individual protrusions for the individual lenses. However, they will protrude less. So Apple is really trying to reduce those on the 13 Pro, 13 Pro Max, as well as the actual glass run-up that's housing those lenses. We didn't reflect that in our concepts. We will in the next one, but the overall camera will be shrinking in thickness on both the 13 Pro and Pro Max. And they will actually share the same thickness for the individual lens protrusions. Currently, between the 12 Pro Max and 12 Pro, there is a difference in the height. So those will be the same. And from other sources, we've heard that the overall lens itself will be the same on the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max. So Apple's making things a lot more even here. Another very exciting one. Apple has once again reworked the graphite color, or space gray, where it all started. Now it's a borderline black. So assume matte black coming to the iPhone 13 Pro lineup, and this one is very likely to happen. So something like the Phantom Black from Samsung, which is absolutely awesome. Apple has experimented with jet black colors on the iPhone 10 style housing before. They never released it, but it is making a comeback on the 13 Pro. And Max says Apple is experimenting with orange as well. It's past stage 1 of production validation, but he says it's unlikely to make it to launch. We represented it as somewhat of a bronze pastel orange look. I don't think it looks too bad. But then again, the colors you see in renders are never anything like the final product. There's also a new and improved coating on the stainless steel borders of the Pro models. This will make smudges such as fingerprints stick out far less, something Max says is desperately needed on the gold color of the iPhone Pro series. There's also a new optical image stabilization correction mode built into the software with no buttons or any extra settings needed, Essentially, when you're focused on a target, that target will stay in frame no matter your hand jitters. The OS will automatically cut and crop and stay focused on that image, alongside the new sensor shift stabilization that's supposed to happen on the ultra-wide lenses. This is going to be a killer combo for anti-shake. Next, portrait mode has been overhauled greatly on the upcoming iPhones. Max reports that Apple has been focusing heavily on this. They now rely heavily on a new process that combines data both from the lenses as well as LiDAR. LiDAR is specifically going to be used for much better edge detection. Things like smaller gaps in the street signs are now supposed to be detected by the new process. This goes alongside our earlier report on the portrait video mode, which is happening on the 2021 iPhones. And Max confirms the iPhone 13 mini will continue. This is amongst rumors that it won't, that Apple will be cutting the 13 mini from production, the 12 mini might be cut from production. Max says it will be surviving, and Max mentions that the 13 mini will have a ever so slightly bigger battery, but most of the efficiency improvements will be because of the Apple A15 in that smaller form factor. And Max gives some details on AirTags. Actual dimensions are 32 millimeters by 32 by 6 millimeters. And these will never share any personal data. They'll actually use the BLE format, so Bluetooth efficiency standard, to beacon back and forth. Never actually sharing any of your personal data, but still being able to connect to a vast sea of devices, any device it encounters, essentially. And yes, Max mentions that we should be seeing some sort of Apple action here somewhat soon, potentially an event, maybe WWDC announcement, or just straight product drops, but something is brewing. And a source from retail tells Max to expect 3 new categories, and that's a tablet, wearable, and accessories. Max expects AirTags to be an accessory, and he estimates the price will be $39. We're likely to see new colors for solo loops, as well as the new iPad Pros. And that concludes our exclusives with Max Weinbach. Thanks, Max. Always a pleasure. So, moving on to the other news, Ming-Chi Kuo published quite a heavy report on the iPhone 13s, everything detailed inside. So first off, he states, yes, a tiny notch is happening. He also states 120 Hz displays will be happening. And recently we just heard that Samsung will be the one to produce these displays, so they will be high quality. And LTPO is what's needed for an always-on display feature, something me and Max have leaked earlier in the last video. And Lightning is staying. So the portless design, which he previously leaked, is not happening this year, not even on one iPhone. He says that Apple will continue to use Lightning until they switch to a portless future. So there is absolutely no chance that Apple will incorporate USB-C on the iPhone. They're going all in on a portless design. And speaking of, there's been a very recent patent on MagSafe and a physical port for MagSafe. All the pins have been detailed. It essentially could be a universal MagSafe connector. We heard that MagSafe is coming back to the new MacBook Pros. There's potential for an ecosystem here instead of just a puck. And I think that's a better alternative than having to remove your SIM card to do a hard reset via a hidden port. And speaking of MagSafe, from John Prosser, he reports that the MagSafe battery pack Apple is working on, there are apparently 2 versions, one which will be capable of reverse charging. On the opposite end, your accessories such as AirPods, maybe even AirTags. But yeah, Apple is exploring the MagSafe battery pack ecosystem. I'm very excited for it. Now, contrary to what we've heard before, Ming-Chi Kuo reports that all 4 iPhones this year will have larger batteries and be heavier as a result. Apple had to clear some room inside. One of the ways they did that was by combining the SIM card tray or embedding it into the logic board. So it will no longer be a removable part. So on a clip like it currently is on the 12 series, more condensing, less easier to repair, but a better battery life. Also from Ming-Chi Kuo, he reports that LiDAR will stay exclusive to the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. So the 13 and 13 mini will not be receiving it. Contrary to that, Wedbush analysts report that yes, the 13 and 13 mini will be getting a LiDAR sensor. I mean, I trust Kuo more here. Also in that Wedbush report is 1 terabyte is happening. It will be an option on this year's iPhones across the board. And iPhone 13 models, once again rumored to support Wi-Fi 6E, just upgraded to the 6 router standard, and now there's another. But this one allows for more bandwidth at the higher frequency where Wi-Fi 6 operates. And after a long silence on Touch ID news, a new report by Barclays confirms that Touch ID will be happening on the 2021 iPhones. I really want this to be true, as yeah, Mask Unlock is pretty great on 14.5, but nothing replaces the real Touch ID experience. And speaking of, Apple continues their diligent work with patents on Touch ID. The latest is describing an enhanced Touch ID under-screen scanning system, which uses refraction to get more detail of your individual ridges of the fingerprint. So better than anything that's out there on current Android phones by at least 30%. And something I found amusing, so the recently touched down Mars Perseverance rover is using an iMac G3 processor, PowerPC. I used to have computers with that, and is up on Mars. Heavily modified for cooling and whatnot, $200,000 price tag, but goes to show you how bulletproof those processors were. Oh, and I'm very happy to see that Pwn has jailbroken the iPhone 12 lineup up to 14.3. Always happy to see that jailbreak continues in spite of it all. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Try and have regular uploads from here on out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the studio and suggestions. Thanks for watching. Peace.